Do you ever have those massive plans? You know, those grand ambitions and dreams that literally keep you awake at night, but then, when the morning comes, you do absolutely nothing about them. If that sounds like you, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to dive into why this happens and what's really going on under the hood. Right here, this is the core idea we need to start with. So let's just get it out of the way. That feeling of being stuck, it is not a character flaw. It's not about you. So we're going to throw out the self-blame and actually look at what's happening inside your mind. And what we're talking about is something called the dreamer's paradox. You know it well. It's that incredibly frustrating, maddening gap between having a huge ambition and taking zero action. I mean, this just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, your brain is this absolute powerhouse of creativity. It's buzzing with ideas for businesses, for books, for art, you name it. But on the other hand, there's a total disconnect. It's like the engine is revving like crazy, but the car is just stuck in neutral. Let me ask you this, and be honest with yourself. When you think about your biggest goals, your biggest dreams, do you feel energized and excited? Or do you just feel this wave of anxiety, this heavy weight? If it's the second one, well, you're living this paradox firsthand. So, what's the go-to explanation our brain jumps to? I'm just lazy, right? But that is a total myth. Your inner critic, as loud as it might be, has the story completely wrong. Honestly, the best way to think about this is like an iceberg. On the surface, the part we can all see, is what we call laziness or procrastination. But underneath the water, the huge, massive part of the iceberg that's actually driving everything, that's the psychological reality. We're not just choosing to do nothing. We're wrestling with these incredibly powerful forces, like a deep fear of not being perfect, or a state of complete and total overwhelm. So if you hear anything, hear this. You are not broken. You are not unmotivated. The real enemies here are these invisible mental barriers, and we're about to put a spotlight on every single one of them. Okay, so let's go inside. Let's really get into this psychological trap and break down the hidden forces that have been holding you captive. First up, the big one, perfectionism. Now, this is not the healthy drive to do good work. This is totally different. This is the paralyzing belief that if you can't do it perfectly right from the very beginning, then you just shouldn't do it at all. Your own grand vision becomes the weapon you use against yourself. Does this sound at all familiar? You do endless research. You plan out every single tiny detail, but all of that preparation becomes the very thing that stops you from taking that one simple, imperfect first step. And right behind perfectionism is its best friend, the fear of failure. But see, it's actually deeper than just not succeeding. It's the absolute terror of being judged. What if you try and it's not as amazing as you imagined it in your head? What are people going to think? That fear, it makes doing nothing feel so much safer than trying and maybe falling short. And finally, all of this cooks up into what we call analysis paralysis. This is where you're so busy weighing every option, every possible path, every potential outcome, that you just get stuck, frozen. The sheer volume of thought completely prevents any real movement. So let's just map out how this trap snaps shut. It starts with something wonderful, right? A grand vision. But that vision immediately creates an infinite to-do list. That list triggers the intense fear of taking a wrong step. And what happens? You retreat into what feels like the safety of doing nothing. Because in that space, you can't fail. The dream stays perfect, but it also stays completely imaginary. So, why does all this matter? What's the big deal? Well, because this inaction, it has a real cost. And that price gets heavier and heavier over time. The longer you stay stuck, your growth just stagnates. You watch opportunities you dreamed of just pass you by. Your self-esteem, it takes a nosedive because you're constantly breaking promises to yourself. And maybe the worst part of all is that nagging, growing, soul-crushing weight of what if. And in the end, it all boils down to this number: 0. It's a stark, simple truth. Perfectionism, fear, analysis paralysis, they have a 100% success rate at keeping your dream locked inside your head. The number of dreams realized from a state of inaction is always 0. Okay, so how do we get out? That's the real question, right? Well, it's not about more hustle or more discipline. It's about a fundamental shift in how you see this whole thing. It's about moving from self-blame to self-awareness. And here's the crucial part. What we've talked about today isn't some magic solution. It's a map. It's all about helping you finally see the invisible bars of the cage you've been in so you can finally find the door. So, if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this right here. Just by understanding these psychological forces at play, you have already started to take away their power. Awareness itself is the first action. It's the beginning of your escape. So I'll leave you with this question. Forget the grand, perfect plan for just a moment. If you knew for a fact that you could not fail, if all judgment was completely off the table, what is one tiny, imperfect, small step you could take right now? The answer to that question, that's where your real journey begins.